Welcome back. We're still watching Sunrise Daily, and our focus today is the proposed sale of national assets. We just finished speaking with Senator Ina Baribe, but we have another guest joining us, an energy economist from our Abuja studios. Mark.
You're right, Nyota. We do have with us Dr. Onuoha Nnachi, as you rightly introduced, is an energy economist. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you.
So what do you make of this debate? I mean, to sell or not to sell? Is that where we are?
You know, there are various aspects to it. First and foremost, you ask, why do we have to sell? Listening to the government, the other time I was listening to the Minister for National Planning. His statement is not a statement of contemplation, it's a statement of decision. Now, the question is, if you're selling national assets to fund 2016 budgets, first, you've not given us the list of the assets you want to sell. Let's assume you do that. What will you do to fund 2017-18? Because you already have a framework for funding those 17 and 18 budget. That becomes, okay, if you finish selling this, what else will you sell next? Then the next question that comes to mind is that you try to have a reflection and say, how did we get into this? What is the cause of this? Okay, is it a recession? If it's a recession, how did we get into this? And what can we do to come out of it? Is selling this asset the possible solution that can give us that? Hell no. I would never subscribe to that. Because you ask yourself, if you want to sell assets because most of those assets are non-functionals, they are not living up to expectations, then we can understand that. So you want to put it in the hands of the private operator so that they can do well with it. But we'll take a little bit back to history. During the Obasanjo administrations, we handed over the downstreams to the corn oil, the Oandos, in the anticipation they will invest in refineries. How many years gone? 16 years? They didn't. We move away from that. It's okay. Let's put... They gave conditions. They said they gave the reasons why they were not able to invest. They said it wasn't profitable, looking at the fact that the federal government was still subsidizing petrol especially, which was the most dominant product for the Nigerian economy. Okay. That looks so dumb to hear. When you refine and when you invest, even if government is subsidizing it, they don't subsidize it from the refining point, it's from the sales point. And there's a refining margin that always exists. If the refining margin is 2 cents, 2.5 or 3 cents, it exists. That whoever that subsidizes it, whether the government buys from you or buy from a foreign company, the subsidy will still exist. So well, that was the argument then, you know, because okay. we were told about how if we did not deregulate the downstream sector, there was no way there was going to be any investment in refineries. I mean, those are some of the stories that we were told, but that's argument for another day. But I'm just trying to bring that as part of assets we have transferred into private operatorships with some condition attached to it, and those conditions are never kept. Now, we move to the electricity part. We did the discos and the gencos, 60%, 70%, some were 80% gone. And there were conditions attached to those transactions. As we sit back today, do we have it? Or we'll keep getting every 6 months its tariff being increased. Even your last day in office, you're increasing tariff to walk away so that others will pay it? No. Do you ask again, if we're going to do this, will the condition be in tandem? When I was going through some of the lists and I heard about NLNG being inclusive in that. Now, I was going to ask you, because the truth is, some people would say that that was where it was in the conversation got derailed. Recall that the Minister for Trade, National Planning, Senator Ododomas, had said that, you know, they were going to sell some national assets, but he did not say which national assets they were going to sell, as you rightly said. Only for us to hear in Lagos that is it the owner of Dangote Industries had proposed that the federal government sell its shares in NLNG. For some people, they thought that was, you know, not the asset you should be selling because it was profitable. Yeah. Now, do you think that that has affected how people now perceive this conversation on, you know, to sell or not to sell? Yes, it really up to 75%. Because if you look at it, being the only operational national asset that at the end of every 365 days, you can look at the book and says, this is the net. As of last year, we're talking over 100 and something millions being made. You can talk about what that has contributed to the development of the country. But the question is, people have lost faith. There's no trust. It's a very big word. To end that trust, you just have to be on point. But as it is today, with the current government, we've really lost trust in it, but which they should work hard to build. And when we talk about this...
But the government hasn't talked about selling NLNG. I mean, that's just the kite being flown by Dangote. As some people say, that's at best a kite that's being flown and has caused another realm of public debate. That is not from government.
The good part of it is that, you know, when you've been in government and you know this, and there's a certain statement that comes out, you know that the decision is like 70% already made. But the point again is the recession that is leading to these assets. The other time they injected about 350 billion into the economy, believing to inflate the economy back. What happened? The money went down the drain. How? It went into the ministries, and the big ministries paid the big contractors, and the big contractors are foreign companies, and they did not get into the Nigerian economy again. And that was something to look at. That money would have had effects. And we also have to look back in, we are not the only country that have been in recession. We're not. What has happened to other countries whenever they're in recession like this? You take a typical case of America, either they do a rate cut, a tax bait, and whenever America do a tax bait back, they send your, like this is 2016, you pay tax for 2015. They refund you for that tax you paid. Once you get that tax refund, you're going to use it back into the economy. It stimulates the economy naturally.
But, you know, some people will say that if we understand why have we looked at why, because you also talked about why are we in a recession. Some people have talked about how the price of oil dropped. We're not able to produce the quantity that we will normally produce. And then we also did not have a lot of savings, as it were. And so those three combinations, as it were, has caused us to be where we are, okay, and has caused a shortage of forex. Do you agree with their perspective?
Let me take it from the economic aspect of it. The price of oil drop is a global trend, so it cannot just affect Nigeria. It affects the entire world, so we're not isolated out of it. Then you come down...
Being a mono economy, I mean, that's all we depend on. Of course, we will be badly affected.
We're not the only mono economy in the world today. That depends on that. What does Saudi depends on?
They've also been affected. They're not in a recession, but they've been affected.
Thank you. Now, what they did from their own end is to cut some charitable activities. They normally, some welfareism, they have to reduce it. Now, going down to the production rate, which has dropped as of last week, we're doing 1.1, as against 2.4 or 2.3 or 2.5. This is my take, and I say it with no reservations about it. We understand what happens in those regions. These people we tagged militants, with different platforms there exist. If you profile them very well, these are highly educated Nigerians. They're not illiterate. And these are people that you can really negotiate, and they provide it, hand over this asset for them to protect. If what it costs you to protect that asset is 100,000 barrels every day, and you can produce 2.2, you're safer than where you feel you have a cost for the war, you have a cost for the environment, you have a cost that you're not gaining. For goodness sake, you are the loose end of boats. So there's no balance in it. If, I don't know those that have the ear of the president, please, we can, within the shortest possible time. You know, one thing about a developed nation is that when they see a particular system, a particular habit that exists from the society, they try to convert it into a reform system and make it work for good, other than confronting it.
How would you have suggested that Nigeria addresses this current shock? Because whether or not we like it, it has definitely caused some distortions in terms of what we expected for the 2016 budget.
Now, if you're telling me you're going to borrow money or sell assets to generate income so that you deal with the shortfall, I will be against you. It's like you borrow money to buy food to eat and not to generate money.